So I'm going to attempt today to have a little book club on my own. And I'm going to smoke as well, a new cigar, just out from Monte Cristo. And it's this, the Wide Edmundo. Now, yesterday I had a double Edmundo, which is a long cigar. Much longer than this, maybe this long. But much narrower, and it's quite a slow burn cigar. It's very good. It's much better once you get halfway through it and it gets going. But I thought I would smoke it in honour of Honoré de Balzac, who is a very celebrated French writer from the early 19th century, 200 years ago. And he would drink nuclear, radioactive espresso coffee 18 hours a day, and he would create a novel per month in a month. This is one of them, Old Man Goriot. Some of my other favourite writers are here. I've got Gogol, who wrote Dead Souls, one of the greatest novels ever written in my opinion, very accessible. Martin Amis, this is London Fields, but Martin Amis's best novel is called Money, which I have listened to on Audible at least 100 times and read several times. We have Jude the Obscure, of course, by Thomas Hardy, where Jude works as a stonemason. He's in constant poverty. All his wives and children die, and in the end he dies. Cheery stuff, but brilliantly written by Thomas Hardy. We have Tolstoy, who is, a master, an absolute master. My favourite Tolstoy is How Much Land Does a Man Need? And perhaps The Death of Ivan Ivanisovich. Tolstoy's a brilliant author. Philip Dick, who basically wrote the novels upon which Blade Runner and Minority Report and others were based. Very much an LSD type guy, into his drugs. Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov, possibly the greatest piece of literature ever written. If you can get past the subject matter, the writing itself is extraordinary. Nabokov was, of course, a professor of literature. He moved around a lot. He was also a professor of Lepidoptery. He was an expert on butterflies and moths. Sartre, well, you can't beat Sartre. Absolute genius. Brilliant philosopher, brilliant writer. And somebody you don't hear much about in this country is Michael Houellebecq, who wrote Atomized, an absolutely brilliant work of modern literature. Submission here is about the Islamification of France and the idea that the Islamic Brotherhood actually won the French election and took over France, and what life would be like if you became a Muslim in France under an Islamic government. If I get back to Zola, because this is what this is meant to be about, I'm almost a fan of writers, often more than their work. The interesting thing about Balzac was he was a big cigar smoker. He used cigars as drugs. He used to get high on cigars and then go to the opera and almost have a hallucinatory experience. I've cut my cigar now. Oh, it looks like it's quite nicely made. It's trying to imitate a Cohiba here, I think. Maybe a Supremos with this yellow band. Makes it very much like a Cohiba. The book itself, the language itself, I'm slightly disappointed. Written at a time when novels were what is the word I'm looking for? I can't remember, for God's sake. Serialized. They published a bit every month or every week, and people bought it like you would buy your TV series. You'd watch it once a week, or there was no streaming. You had to buy it once a week. It's how Dickens, of course, also wrote. His work was serialized as well. For me, it's way, way, way too wordy. We live in a world of short attention span, and the difficulty with this book, obviously it's beautifully written, is that there are thousands of characters, and I don't like that because you can never get to know any really one character. Perhaps Old Man Goriot and a few others, but there's so many characters, and also they've all got very long French names. They're all Comtesse to this and Comte to that, and you know, somebody of Savignon and somebody of Chardonnay and somebody of Bordeaux, and yeah, they're all. It's impossible to follow, and to be honest, it gets a little bit boring. So I'm a little bit disappointed in Balzac so far. I've got a Zola book to read. You never get bored with Nabokov. Nabokov is it's all word plays with Nabokov. Everything means. I mean, he's got the a hotel where Humbert takes Lolita, and it's called the Enchanted Huntress. The Enchanted Huntress. And he turns it around later in the book when he's on the run to make it the Hunted Enchantress. And this is like, you know, every line in Nabokov is a play on words. Tolstoy is just a straightforward. Tolstoy tends to be writing parables. He's imparting wisdom. Welbeck is just a critic. He's a tremendous critic of modern life. He's a reactionary, he's a right-winger, he's a nationalist. He's all the things I shouldn't like. However, he's a great writer. Sartre is just incredibly intelligent. Amos basically he tries to copy Nabokov, I think. There's a lot of wordplay in Amos, a lot of clever use of language. Brilliantly clever guy. But there's too much of Amos in Amos's novels, in my opinion. Gogol, very accessible, very easy to read. Dead Souls is fantastic. The Diary of a Madman is fantastic. Very easy reading, you know. People think these classic books are going to be difficult and hard work. They're not difficult, they're not hard work. Philip Dick, well, you know, a drug-riddled, brilliant mind. You can't go wrong with Thomas Hardy. Anyway, that's the end of my short book club. I'll keep trying to finish Old Man Goriot, and I will now smoke the cigar, and when I get to the end of it, I'll give a brief review on it.